Welcome back everyone to BackBodyDrop PLUS. We've got a special guest this week. It's Mike Kilby of Eurographs.com. How's it going, Mike?
Hello. How's it going?
Well, still living and breathing, and guess this weekend there's only one thing on our agenda, knock on wood, 16 Carat Gold in Oberhausen, and there's a lot going on. Some, literally just before we hit record, some very late breaking news about Carat this year. And
Literally.
guess, yeah, you said literally what, 10
Literally
seconds?
a minute before we went away.
So I guess, 16 Carat Gold for those of you under a rock. It's WXW's annual tournament. It's the 15th one this year, I think. I know Dennis pulled me up on getting the number wrong in the past. But yeah, it's yet again, it's in Turbine Hall 1. And this year it's, I'd almost say it's quite like a Battle of Los Angeles lineup. You know, Carat's, yet again, it's run head-to-head with a NXT UK taping. And so yeah, a lot of the names you'd expect or maybe have hoped being part of the field, your Walters, your Ilya Dragunovs, off the cards, or at least off the tournament. And we've got quite an eclectic lineup. Some homegrown faces we all know and love, some new faces who, making their Carat debuts, and quite a few names from abroad. Before we go for the matches, I'm going to put in the spot, Mike. Who's your... I'll give you two choices here. Your favourite to win the tournament if it's going to be no matter what, and your favourite if it's going to be someone who is a WXW regular.
My favourite for the tournament is always a regular anyway, because for me, it makes a lot less sense for it to be, unless they're really going to stick the rocket behind somebody and book them every week. It kind of makes more sense for it to be somebody from the tournament. So I think a lot of early a lot of early money is going on the likes of Jørn Simmons, and a lot of money going on Lucky Kid, Alexander James. I think it's possible. I don't think Lucky's going for a second one, but I think it's looking like AJ or Jørn for me.
That could well be the final. But I guess for me, if I had a gun to my head, I'd say Jørn would be winning. He's been on a quite a good run of form lately. Although if you're going to open it up and say, well, the roster's really wide open and pick somebody who may be out left wing, I would be too surprised with someone like an Irie wins it. I mean, he won Ambition last year, but again, can you get the dates in? But we will come down to that when we start going for the tournament proper. But of course, every festival weekend starts actually in Essen, and we've got the Inner Circle, which normally we'd probably go through all the matches, what they're going to be doing. Except they've announced it's a mystery card this year, so any ideas what to expect?
Mystery card. I don't know. The one thing I would say is that Thursday is obviously the 2 days before the taping, so maybe I don't know. I don't know what the restrictions are for NXT UK people. Can they work that close to a taping?
I believe if you believe the internet, and of course everything on the internet's true, it's the week before they're not allowed to do. But
yeah, But then I would possibly argue, if you're going in there with a trusted hand, like if you put an Ilya win with a Marius Alani, who seems to be the go-to WWE guy for a lot of people, that's the sort of if you got something like that, I wouldn't be entirely surprised. I think you might get a Tim send-off from the Inner Circle. I don't know. Apart from that, it's always a good fun thing. It's unlike really anything else.
Well, he's got to collect the stuff from his house one last time, so. But actually, there's one thing that somebody picked up to me a few weeks back. A few names who can probably rule out, I guess. Totally unrelated to Carat. There's a TNT show in Liverpool on the same night.
Yeah, so a lot of the Mexicans are doing
Lucky
TNT.
Kid's on the show. Black Taurus, Puma King. They're on the same match. Just looking for a lot of the guys who are in Ambition, not on as well. I should just look off post here. Ace Austin, if he was ever booked. Mike Bailey won't be on. Taurus, Puma King. So yeah, so if you're hoping to see some big lad luchadors at the Wrestling Academy, then maybe not this time. But yeah, I mean, I've been to a few Inner Circle shows, been to a few Academy shows, and those events, the night before the warm-up to the main festivals never let down. And the fact that those shows are always the first to sell out, And if you look at the tweet WXW put out about should we make this a mystery show or not, that a lot of people have the faith in WXW to pull it off. Well, I think we're going to be in for a fun night on Thursday.
I mean, in essence, it's usually tends to be the only, in terms of Inner Circle, it's usually the last 3 or 4 that I've been to anyway. It's been mostly a mystery in the sense of they announce maybe one key match, or 1 or 2 key matches, and the rest is kind of you get your obligatory 4-way before the tournament.
Yeah,
which usually is, I usually find whoever wins the 4-way usually goes quite well in the tournament. But the other thing is, like, obviously it's a little bit like a pre-season friendly, sort of like a warm-up thing. But I remember there was a match from Carat 17. It was Riddle versus Starr, and they was going 110 miles an hour like for the whole match, and that was definitely not a warm-up match. That was full speed from the beginning.
And I think you'll get some guys, again, we've said there's a lot of luchadors won't be on. But you'll get some guys who'll be looking to make an impression on the whole weekend. And I'm guessing your Julian Paces, your rotations will want to really stamp their whole name on the whole weekend. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see who they have. I mean, the fact, like, say, the luchadors won't be in, that takes a fair bit of a lineup if you're just looking at the 16 carat guys. But, again, you'll also have folks in the academy.
Yeah, you have people like... You have people like Lavaniel, you have people like, it depends on if they're bringing people like Hector in early. I mean, Avalanche is obviously the new head coach. You expect he's going to be in it. There's lots of potential. It depends who's... And also, you have Daisuke Ikeda and Ishikawa coming in this week, so you could probably expect maybe a little bit of them. But there's lots of there's a lot. It's always a bit of a broken biscuits of a sort of show anyway. It's always a good fun sort of experience.
And again, we're all done and dusted in about 2 hours of an interval. So if you're going there, the worst part of it's really waiting for the train there and back. But,
standing in the cold. The train is always delayed coming back from Essen.
Yeah, and we kind of mentioned our preview of Oberhausen in general, but if you're going over, get the DB Navigator app, guys. There's one ticket machine at Essen's Oliver Rhine Nord. It's not fun to queue at.
And you're also not digging into all your change.
Yes. DB app uses PayPal. Christ, for the number of wrestling shows you go to, you have to have PayPal, so get that. It's a lot more straightforward. And I've learned the hard way when I went for the anniversary show in December. It'll actually have a full timetable because at Deutsche Bahn have cut down all the timetables. So I think when we went for Tag Festival, it was showing every single stop. Now it's not the case, so...
That is it's kind of going on a bit of a tangent here, but I've noticed in Essen Hauptbahnhof, Essen, in Oberhausen Hauptbahnhof, that the board doesn't show every train anymore.
Yeah.
So, and I was looking at the timetable again, tangent, looking at the timetable, and there seems to be like twice as many trains to Essen that I ever remember there being. So I don't know what's going on.
Again, DB Navigator app, that'll tell you everything. You
It's
can
a good
make
app.
tickets there. It's less headache, less queuing, and likewise, I've been to enough inner circles where that queue for that single machine is an absolute pain in the arse. So, yeah, download it and you'll thank us later. But
this is the DB Navigator Spotlight podcast you're listening to.
Yeah, no, all you need now is random German soap opera stuff. But we'll let Yacht Pay talk about that next week. But we'll start with the big event, 16 Carat Gold Night 1. And we've got, it's actually 10 matches announced so far. We'll start with the traditional 4-way for the rarely used if ever alternate spot. Scotty Davis, Hector Invictus, Rust Taylor and Lavaniel. I think the last few years we've had the alternate, I think, was it last year, the year before, when Jörn got injured, the alternate actually got into the tournament?
It was 2018 because Satoshi got in.
Yeah. So
instead of,
if there's anything late breaking miss, one of these guys could end up doing double duty in the same night. But
yeah, I mean, it depends if somebody just because they're quite within their rights to drop out over the travel fears. So it is possible that it may.
Yeah, this year more than ever. But just gut feeling, which of those four would you tag for winning the four-way?
For me, the one that immediately jumps out is Russ Taylor, because he seems to be a bit of a kind of quite trusted hand really with WXW at the moment. But I'm actually very excited to see Hector. I don't know if you've really seen much of him. He kind of wrestles on the German sort of second level of wrestling. He's used to work as TKO.
He
was absolutely Andy's
the graffiti rapper kind of gimmick.
Yeah, so he used to work as TKO, and now he's got a thing. I think it's called Invictus is his new thing. He's just a really good, solid worker. He kind of a little bit in the same mold as Marius Alani, that sort of worker. I'd be really interested to see him on like a bigger stage.
I mean, he looks pretty good in the qualified tournament in Obertraubling. I think obviously Rust was also meant for that tournament as well. He pulled out, I think, was work commitments or something like that. And obviously the Bielefeld show, he tried to get rotation spots. That didn't quite work out that way. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Rust got the four-way spot. And a bit of a spoil for what we'll be talking about in a second. It wouldn't surprise me if he also got into the tournament proper without people pulling out. But I guess we may as well start on the actual tournament matches, and I'm not going to go with who do you think is going to win the whole thing, we said at the start, but just for night one, after this it's a blind bracket. We'll start for bottom, Lio Rush against Alexander James. Lio kind of being the, we're sorry, made good for the NXT UK taking spotting up against him, I guess, but
there's also a big question mark over the fact he might not even be in the tournament because he's got a possible orbital fracture, isn't
Yeah, it was that video, the NXT, was it the injury report they do after, not last week, week before's. Actually, did he work NXT this past week?
You're asking the wrong one.
Let me check. Cage match exists for a reason. It's past Friday in Boston. No, he wrestled main event of 205 Live. That's the show that Larry Zonk and about 4 other people watch, so still 2 more than NXT UK. So Cornbat, he should be fine, but yeah, massive test, I would say, for Alexander James, at least in terms of, say, like name value, I guess.
It is. It's certainly a interesting lineup. I think it's an all Maryland tie, isn't it? I think they're both from Maryland, so there's kind of a little bit of history with that. But I think, and obviously AJ's is very well trusted in WXW. I think I kind of remember 2-3 years ago I said give him 5 years, and I think he could possibly be like a Tim Thatcher sort of level things if he sticks with WXW in that sort of thing. I think I see a lot of similarities in the way they've had their first couple of years. Yeah. So I don't think it's going to be a cut and shut. Oh, Lio Rush is immediately going over, because I think they might want him for other things over the weekend. So
there's the traditional thing on Sunday, but we get round that when we get there. Second match was actually the first one announced, I believe. Marius Alani against Carat Noir, which, I mean, again, was a bit of a tangent. Carat Noir, current Progress World Champion. He debuted at Back to the Roots and hasn't said a word, but that's not surprised. He doesn't promo, but
he doesn't need to.
Well, yeah, but I'd be very much surprised, very much interested to see where they go with this. Alani just come back from that suspension latter end of 2019. Carat Noir debutant. This one to me is pretty much a coin flip.
Yeah, and they again kind of saying about WWE friendly guys. These are the sort of people who I see as being on the B list of, yeah, they're okay to work with, because obviously Carat Noir's Progress Champion. Alani worked all of the WWE guys at Carat last year, so I think both it's totally been a coin flip really, but both probably could be used later in the weekend a lot better.
Yeah. Next up, Mike Bailey and Chris Ridgway. I would say a lot of kicks on this one. But yeah, again, this one, Mike Bailey would probably fit more into that match we'd be thinking of on Sunday, but the fact that both men are also an ambition on the Saturday lunchtime. Again, I don't say if it's a coin flip, but this one, either man could go through, and I don't think you'd lose or gain anything by doing so.
I think you could get a semi-finalist out of this match, for sure. I think you could even possibly have one of these go to the final. Maybe Bailey Speedball possibly going all the way to the final. He has got the big international gravitas. He's still unlikely to be disappearing, and he could possibly have more dates over in Europe. So I think he could be a good shout for quite deep into the tournament.
Yeah, I think out for 2, I'd probably be more. Nothing against Chris Ridgway, but I'd probably be more inclined to back Speedball than Ridgway just out of those two. But next one, maybe not quite as clear cut. Julian Pace, his debut in the tournament proper against Bandido. I may as well tie this into the next match, Puma King and Notation. You'd have to think that at least one of the two hometown lads aren't getting knocked out in the first round, but which one do you drop?
You would hope, because really, in terms, I mean, if we count AJ as it as well, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 domestic guys in the tournament. You kind of, and I think somebody like Rotation getting the underdog, getting through to the second round thing would be a lovely story to have, and likewise, you could also see it being a tag team match at some point over the weekend as well. This bracket against the other side. So I think I think one of them will get past the other. One of the domestic guys will get past one of the Mexicans.
And there's also the elephant in the room. Oliver Carter not involved because of NXT UK. Norman Harras not on this show. Do you see him being a thorn in the eye for Julian Pace Rotation's backside and maybe trying to take their spot?
Yeah, quite possibly. And likewise, there's a lot of you've got the Pretty Bastards who are kind of unaccounted for. Well, they're in the tag team match, but later on. But they don't have a faction name, unfortunately. But they're always going to be floating around this tournament, and I'm surprised Harras isn't in the alternate 4-way. In all honesty, but yeah, maybe it's quite possible.
After that, two big lads, Shikahiro Irie and Black Taurus. I just hope that ring's reinforced. I mean, last year, Irie won Ambition. If you haven't seen it before, he's very agile for his size, I think is the backhanded compliment you can give him. Black Taurus, the same, but I don't want to say in steroids, but the same, but a lot more amped up. This one could be the sleeper match for the entire night.
Yeah, I've got a. It's very much like there was the Avalanche Irie match at last year's Carat, which was a bit of a low key banger. I think it's going to be a lot of the same with this one for sure.
Penultimate match, Daniel Makabe against Eddie Kingston, and that one to me is a massive clash of styles. Of course, Makabe known as for his submission wrestling, Eddie Kingston not exactly, but Makabe just went all the way to the finals of St. Louis Anarchy's Strong Style tournament about a week or two ago. And that was a no-submission tournament, so who knows. But we both saw Kingston at the cockpit yesterday, and I don't know whether it was selling or whether it was legit, but he looked a bit banged up after that match with Matt Curtis.
Yeah, a little bit. I think one of Kingston's strengths, really before... I've kind of really turned a circle on Eddie Kingston, because I kind of hadn't really. I saw him a handful of times before that, and I hadn't really been sold on him. But seeing him work against somebody a lot smaller, in the likes of Chapman and the McGee match, which I think was 10 times the Chapman match, the Dan McGee match was. I think this one is going to be a lot of the same, probably a little bit more fight from Makabe, obviously, but I am really, really looking forward to this one, simply because I think he just works really, really well with someone a lot smaller than him.
You mean Daniel's not going to bring a keychain air horn gimmick and hold up the microphone?
I would hope not.
Well, you never know. Could be blue is for colour if it's a love of Chelsea, but I think that one, again, a lot of these first round matches are coin flips. Make a lot of sense if he stuck around to help David Starr in, but I get there. Last Carat first round match, Jörn Sims and Lucky Kid, the battle of two favourites, so someone's going home early.
And they always have this at Carat. They like obviously last year there was the Walter David Starr match. There's always a match like this at the start of Carat, which is kind of people go, well, the person who wins this one is the one who wins the whole tournament. And likewise with Tim and Lucky last year. Not that people really thought Lucky was going to win, but Tim was one of these people who was highly expected to do well. And I think, for me, I think it is fairly clear. I think Jörn is winning this match anyway, and going very deep into the tournament. But again, we've been stung on the easy choice of Carat before. So,
and I guess a few things maybe worth mentioning, of course. With Son, I think it's night 2, I believe it is, on the 7th. GWF running in Berlin, and I know last year's tournament. Or previous years, you had guys who did night 1 in Oberhausen, night 2 did GWF and came back. So I know he's not currently on the posters or anything like that, but at the same point, it wouldn't surprise me if Lucky Kid went out night 1 and came back and had some part to play in the final.
Yeah, I think that's a fairly reasonable I think that's a fairly decent possibility. I that is obviously something to be aware of. Again, it always confuses me why they do that on the same weekend. But it is a strong possibility. And
then we've got one more match on night 1 that's been announced so far. JAA, Absolute Andy J. Skillet, challenging the Pretty Bastards for the WXW World Tag Team titles. Bastards, of course, won the belts back in October at World Tag Team Festival. Do you see a title change here?
I don't actually. I think there will be a lot of comic relief because obviously Carat is a big serious thing, but this will be a bit of comic relief halfway through the show. And for me, I think it's going to be Pretty Bastards will retain. I think for me, but it's going to be they'll have a lot of fun spots in it. But I think Pretty Bastards are keeping hold of it. I don't see JAA really taking it off.
I think it's maybe worth pointing out, last time we were all in Oberhausen, JAA were dastardly bad guys, now they're beloved, and maybe everyone's finally latching on to Andy being the cool dad.
Well, it took him long enough.
Well, again, soaking half a crowd for Super Soaker will do the trick as well.
Yeah, definitely.
But I know you're famous for your wild ride, and just touch on something that'll be on the Saturday morning if there's no bowling, no Oberhausen Open this time round. So,
well, there is a
on the afternoon, but not late.
There is on Friday afternoon. Yeah, there's a little bit of there's a little mini tournament on the Friday afternoon, but I think that's sold out anyway.
Yeah, I think still Nippy's Bowling Palace still welcome to come along. It's not going to be as big as it was last year, but yeah, it's still sold out. Mini tournament, you're all welcome to come along and watch.
3 p.m.
3 p.m. time. So if you're getting in, if you're doing it in a circle, you'll be around anyway. And if you want to get to the Turbine Hall area early, yeah, join the fun. There's going to be plenty of people there. But next morning, Saturday, the 7th, it's at $930, isn't it, for Through Shopping 2020?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 9:30. I'll do that again because I bumped my mic. Yeah, I think it's pretty sure it is 9:30 because it's usually 2 hours and then it's Ambitions at 12. So yeah, I think it's 9:30.
So just quick run through the card. I think Wrestling Cult, their VOD, Police on WXW now is massively behind. I think Cult.
Yeah, they're doing Cult shows from 2018.
Wow. So anyway, if you're looking to see some live graps on Saturday morning, or you just want to see everything and somehow survive a weekend, we've got a No Limits title match. Now I didn't know Scotty Davis was booked, but it's
He might be. He's over.
How the hell do you pronounce it? Lahien Durancon?
Christanium Lahien, I think. He's like he's a French wrestler.
Well, with a name like that, you'd think. But alongside Norman Harras, a very young Golden Boy Santos who badly needs to give new promo pictures out, and Julian Pace in a four-way.
Yeah.
That could be interesting for Julian if he's late start and late finish and early start Friday to Saturday. Maybe that's tipping something off.
Pace has always done the Saturday morning. This will be his third Saturday morning show in a row. I think he's the only person who's done that.
Give me the Iron Man then.
Well, except for like Carnage, but yeah.
Tom LaRuffa against Absolute Andy for the Cult Championship. Now, yeah, I vaguely follow along Wrestling Cult, but Absolute Andy winning the Cult title, that's a bit of a surprise. I don't want to tag a Wrestling Cult the home of old WXW champions, but it is keeping that trend going. And I think Tom LaRuffa, if the name sounds familiar, well, he was part of NXT in the early days.
Sylvester LaForte.
Sylvester LaForte, that's the one. And was he?
I think was he in? He was in WXW for a while.
He was also in TNA, and I'm just going to look at again our friends at Cage Match to see what he was known as there. Basile Baraka. I could think Baraka, but I thought that's Mr. T. Yeah. So he's
Basile Baraka, yeah.
So he's challenging for the title. There was meant to have been Casey Owens against Melanie Gray. Melanie Gray's injured. The only other match announced, Carnage against Rico Bushido. Are you going to go in for 2 doses of Carnage this weekend?
Oh yeah, I mean I try and watch it. For me, Carnage is kind of gone beyond irony, and I kind of semi get it. I sort of get it now. Because Carnage is a very if you've never seen him, he's Oberhausen's own, and he used to be in WXW many years ago, and I think he's a little bit problematic from what I understand. He's very, very popular in Oberhausen, and a little bit like how you had there's people who are very, very big in Fight Club Pro and nowhere else. It's kind of that sort of vibe. Yeah, he stalls for reactions. He's very, very slow. He's methodical. He stalls for reactions half the match. He's not the best worker in the world, but I kind of get it.
It's a culture shock for anybody who's never seen him before. I think my first exposure to him was Wrestling Deutschland 2 last year. The less we speak about that, the better.
Yeah, and that was against Bad Bones, which is another person who stills for a lot of reactions sometimes.
Ooh, yeah.
So, yeah.
So
I mean, I've never seen Carnage have a good match, but I kind of like it.
Everybody's got a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, it's like that. When you sometimes go abroad and you have this liquor that you drink and it's absolutely disgusting, but you kind of keep going back for it. It's kind of that.
I think I bought some after Carat last year, some kraut liquor from the airport, and it's absolutely foul.
What's that thing from Hungary? Unicum?
I've never been to Hungary, but I'll take your word for it.
Unicum, it's like a kraut liquor sort of thing, and it comes in these little circular bottles. And I think everybody who ever goes to Budapest brings back a bottle of Unicum because, it was great. We was drinking this, and then you have it at home, and it's absolutely disgusting. I think Carnage is the same thing. He's the wrestling version of that.
So we touched on it obviously in the Wrestling Cult. Melanie Gray off the weekend with a knee injury. She was meant to have challenged Amal for the women's title at one of the Carat shows. At this point, WXW haven't announced what's going to happen there. Do you think the women's title is going to be on the line over the weekend? And if so, against who?
I have a feeling that it may be on the line by somebody against somebody who's not been announced for the show. So that's all.
I know she Kelly lost to Melanie Gray in Hamburg a couple of weeks back.
Yeah.
Obviously returned for Rev Pro yesterday. You never know. Again, WXW's women's division has been a little bit on the light side lately, but again, can't blame them. Their whole storyline from the anniversary show to this was Melanie Gray's big return. So we'll have to see what they do to fill in the gaps and whether Carson Beck is in his gold cummerbund congratulates them all for her beauty once again.
If they did do, I'm going to say if they did do not Carnage, sorry, if they did do Killer Kelly versus Amal for the title, it would be befitting of the occasion, so it wouldn't be the worst thing.
Yeah. So, guess next show, if you've gotten up early for food shopping, is Ambition 12. It's the single elimination shoot style tournament. I think it's the fourth time they've done this in a year. They did obviously Carat last year, the wildcard edition in Tag Festival. They did a show in Toronto as well. So it's been out quite a lot, but we'll say we've got our 8 names in the tournament, and we've actually got 2 super fights. Go for those first. Ethan Allen against Luke Jacobs. That's been tagged as the next Ambition fight. And I'll admit, this is a match they had at Tetsujin last year. It's always been on my I want to see list. I've never gotten around to it. But, they're the young guns in the Northwest, and they've had dates in progress. I think Fight Club Pro, they've done OTT as well, so they're getting around a lot. But, we're not brothers, but we're as good as, the teens who tag a lot. They're going to absolutely kick lumps out of each other.
Yeah, and I will defer to you because you've probably seen a lot. You've seen a lot more than I have. People who I trust say that they're one of the best tag teams in the country in the UK, and I'm excited to see them go at it, and hopefully they maybe get a bit of a run out later on in the weekend.
I think again with this, because they are, I would dare say out the Ambition crowd is probably looking about 400 or 500 that time of day. You'd probably be looking at not even a fifth of that crowd knowing who they are. So it'll be very, very interesting to see how many people they can turn onto them, starting from scratch. So it's going to be a big test for them, but not in terms of the in-ring. But on the other end of the scale, we've got the super fight, Daisuke Ikeda against Yuki Ishikawa, which, I remember I was announced at Tag Festival, Alan Farrell absolutely lit up for it. Shame he's not going to be there for it, but there's always VOD. But that's going to be a nice little, it's going to be a nice little match for people who followed their careers. I'll hold my hands up. Both their times in Japan long before I started following the Puro scene, but that should be something quite special if Ishikawa's match with Thatcher last year is anything to go by.
Yeah, I like yourself. You've probably seen 53 times more amount of Puro than I have, so I would again defer to you. But it's one of these things on reputation of the two of them. It's obviously going to do very well. It should be an interesting one to watch.
And then of course got the Ambition tournament proper with names we've all heard of. First round, Scotty Davis, Mike Bailey. To me, if Speedball's going far in Carat, I can't see him going far in Ambition. And I think as well, Scotty Davis. Well, again, I'm saying I don't have had anybody who's won both tournaments yet in the same weekend, and I'd be a bit surprised if Speedball was the first person to do that. I also think Scotty Davis, for all the hype he's come in with, he's not quite got his wheels going yet in WXW, so maybe this is his year where, maybe this is the turn for him. Do you know what your take is, Mike?
I mean, you say that, but Tim got to the semi in 2019. Got to the semis in 2018 and won Ambition, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Yes, because last year, of course, he was out in pretty much the first 24 hours. So
last year it was Irie. The year before, Tim won, and he got to the semis. So I think there is precedent for it, and I think for me it was a very odd. Irie was a bit of an odd winner, really, for me last year. But Speedball would be a great choice for it. Ridgeway would be a great choice for it as well. And then obviously there's other people in the tournament, which it's a real stacked one. It's a low key stacked one for people. If you're kind of into that sort of thing, there's a lot to be excited about in this one.
I guess we just mentioned Chris Ridgeway against Veit Muller. Now, you've seen Dead End, yeah?
Yes.
Now, I know the reasons behind it, but the reaction Veit got in his hometown, I almost started feeling bad for the poor lad.
I mean, he's completely had his legs chopped off by the whole the collapse of. I'm not saying it's Walter's fault or anything, but Walter disappearing when you would have expected them maybe to have a good bit of a blow-off match or two. Walter disappearing, ring camp basically ceasing to be a thing once they inducted him. I kind of He's a victim of Shotgun disappearing in a way, because there would have been things for him to do.
Yeah.
which there isn't anymore. So he's kind of gone for a bit of a lumberjack look, and it's a shame. It is a real shame because Fight is one of these people that I think for sure should be, I would say at Shotgun sort of level,
like a regular on the old Shotgun kind of shows.
Fight Miller should in the sense of Fight Miller should really be where Bobby Guns was 3 years ago, in that sort of level on the card. If you get me when I say that,
kind of like always on the cards, he's on the old Shotgun show more often than not. Maybe Shotgun champion even, and just constantly bubbling up underneath.
Yeah, and I think he's a fairly he comes across a little bit shy, but he's very reserved. I think a person, and I think that kind of worked quite. He didn't say very much, but what he said mattered.
Yeah,
and I think that again, that's something lost when you don't have a weekly TV thing. Yeah.
Do you think Ambition rehab's not the right word, but the best one I can think of, because in the Hamburg show probably was cornered by Vincent Heisenberg, another guy I think out of Nordisch Fight Club. Do you think they try and do something with him on this show or this weekend, or do you think that's maybe a touch too soon?
Who, Heisenberg?
Or just Heisenberg and Weiss?
You could do again, kind of jumping ahead again. Like day 3 is always a bit of a crapshoot of a show. Really, it's kind of all something. You've also got the Sunday morning show, which again is a little bit of a crapshoot. So you kind of get a bit of a left field matches sometimes.
Yeah.
So I think it is possible. Maybe you have him as his walkout man. I don't know. I don't know.
It's worth
an odd one.
Next to Ambition, Kevin Lloyd against personal favourite Daniel McCarby, noted Sunderland fan. Don't kill me, Daniel.
Sexy Kev as well.
That is going to split the crowd. I know the Ogdens were, I think, Kev's only big fans. Well, the Ogdens and Shauna, but that could split some loyalties. The fans from the northwest of England and pretty much everybody else, unless Daniel wears his Bushy Dortmund shirt again.
It does crack me up that Sexy Kev's now on. Kevin Lloyd's on WXW shows now, because the first time we went to Carat back in 2017, it was like me, Alan Cheapshot, Arn. We was all talking about sort of northeast wrestling, and Sexy Kev. Sorry, northwest wrestling, and sorry, did I cause a problem?
No, northeast wrestling. You're talking about Dragon Izu and Benji, not the Hungarian lad.
Yeah, but Sexy Kev was one of these wrestlers that was getting quite talked up as like a kind of a really fun local character sort of thing, and it's mad how he's kind of come into the WXW canon as it is, because this is his second tournament, isn't it?
Back ambitions. So see if that can be parlayed into anything. Of course, Maccabee, bit for regular now in WXW. He's been announced for the Tampa show over WrestleMania weekend, and as long as he doesn't wear that Bushy Dortmund shirt, I think he'll go quite far in this one.
Yeah, I think when I just remember the time he come out and he was like, "Boo!"
Yeah, my bad. You can hear it on the VOD of the wild card. Taking his
when he come in the Sunderland shirt.
Taking the hoodie off, and all you can hear must have been Martin Dean. All you can hear was, "You fucking
it was
boo!"
Matthew, I think Matthew wasn't particularly pleased with that either.
Oh well, but it should be a fun time. Ambition plays well. Both Kevin Lloyd, going into more of the shoot style, wig and snake pit style wrestling. Maccabee, we're big fans of him. And if you followed any of his stuff from last year, his name's getting out there a lot. So it'd be interesting to see if he can actually go one better than he did in October. The last first round match, Tyson Dew and Russ Taylor. This one, of course, Russ was over for Tag Team Festival in October. Tyson Dew's over for the Showcase show later on.
Former Cruiserweight Classic.
I'm trying to think, did he do Velocity a lot in the past? Like he's one. I know he did TNA. Was he part of Team Canada back in the day?
Yeah, he's been on TV a bit. Yeah, but not. I couldn't tell you of any time he's ever. But he was definitely in Cruiserweight Classic, wasn't he? So.
Yeah, because I remember that whole thing where he turned down bookings for some company to do the Cruiserweight Classic, and I don't say burned a bridge, but they weren't best pleased with that. Yeah, he played a part as part of Team International in 2008's World X Cup for you long-time TNA fans. Just looking else, he's done, Christ, a lot of different companies. He's done Progress, if you count their co-pros with Smash, and to be honest, I don't. Done a lot of WWE stuff, going back to Velocity in 2002, Sunday Night Heat, one SmackDown dark match. So Tyson Do lost to Zack Sabre Jr. in the first round of the Cruiserweight Classic. Wow, that's come to 4 years ago this year. How time flies.
That seems like like a lifetime ago as well, doesn't it?
You just think how much water's gone under the bridge. I mean, Zack Sabre Jr.
Well, he effectively moved over there, didn't he?
Yeah.
He just hates it. Yeah.
Well,
very odd.
How things work out, but obviously Russ Taylor, long-time XPWG guy, favourite. I think he's pretty big in bar wrestling every now and then. I would say we touched on he's a good hand. WXW trust him a lot. I mean, fact that I don't say he didn't go far over Tag Festival weekend, but the fact that they made a point of bringing him back over, they clearly see a lot in him.
Well, I think there was an argument. I think it was when he had his panel Tag League, Tag Fest. He says like he's getting back into it because he had a few years out, hadn't he? At that point. And I think he's basically getting back because now there's a scene. It seems weird to say that, but there's now a scene in America again where he could potentially sign for somebody on TV, be it one of the big two, or be it MLW or Ring of Honor or something. And I think he would definitely fit in that sort of thing. So this is a good way to get himself in that shop window.
And again, we've touched on before the quote WWE friendly promotions. I mean, Christ, he's got the body and the look for it. It's just, can they parlay that into anything? But, interesting to see.
There's no better, to be honest, there's no better place to be in the shop window than in WXW. And likewise, WXW gets to have we had this guy before he signed for X and XYZ. Sort of brag, which is always a good thing.
Famous.
Exactly. So,
speaking of, straight after that, we've got the WXW Now Showcase event. They, I don't say wise, but they fought against doing a Wrestling Deutschland 3 after last year. So we've got I'm
99% sure this show is because me and Arn told Dennis to do this.
That wouldn't surprise me. My limit of my memory from that show last year was that intergender tag match with Jake Steakhouse.
Yeah.
And it wasn't it's harsh to say it's a bad show, but when you
it is definitely a bad show.
If you framed as Wrestling Deutschland was meant to be the showcase for all the small promotions in Germany, it was a failure on that front. The matches were sent. If those were genuinely the best they could have sent, well, you do fear for what German wrestling isn't. You watch a lot more of the undercurrent of Germany than I do. It's not as bad as that show would have you believe.
No, I would say the German. Okay, I'm going to defend that a little bit. I think the German the German independent scene is very, very good, very healthy for a country which isn't massive into wrestling as much as say the UK is. They've got quite a healthy scene. There's a lot of good workers who aren't really it's very regionalized is what I would say. There's definitely east west sort of there's the Berlin territory, there's your former your Dresden territory, you've got your people over in the Ruhrpott as well, people up in Hamburg. It's very regionalized, which is kind of an interesting thing. But the matches that went on last year is a bit of a post-mortem on that show last year. When you compare it to what when you compare it to the show from 2018, 2018 I think genuinely was a very good show. And obviously there was Jacoby having a bit of a hand in that show as well. Maybe not so much last year. Well, definitely not so much last year, but there was the people that were picked on the shows weren't the people who I would necessarily say should have been picked.
Yeah, like if you've been given a spot to showcase your promotion, I'm not putting any blame on Buda Chaos on anybody in that match. But fact for the promotion, put that forward. That was probably not a good move, and there's a lot of that up and down that particular card.
For me, I wouldn't be criticising the workers necessarily. I'd be criticising the promoters for picking the matches that they did. I'm not going to name the promotion because I can't remember which one it was, but there was a promotion that put a wrestler who'd only had 6 matches, or even less than that, at that point, in the mixed tag.
Yeah.
There was.
If you watch Who's Next, you can probably join the dots. But this year, it's a completely different format.
Very good.
It's showcase of WXW now. For those who don't subscribe, how are you watching WXW? But they've got 7 different promotions putting an offer match on. So in terms of storylines, this doesn't really mean much, But in terms of who's actually going to be on, I think it's interesting who's been picked.
So I'll go into the areas of expertise I sort of have.
Shoot.
The body slam match one is the one for me is the most interesting of all of them. Body slam is an excellent promotion. I think I've spoken about it before on the big European tour. Bit of a plug there. Olasander, Emeritus, and Michael Finn. I think that's 3 of the best people they could have picked, and fair play to them. I'm glad they've done that. Likewise, Wrestling Cult Carnage is going to be a big draw for the Oberhausen crowd. Really good. Mexberg, I've not seen stacks of. I have seen it a handful of times, but I can't really think of much beyond it. Luca De Pazzi, he was on. He's quite high. I've heard a lot about him. I've not seen stacks of, unfortunately. But apart from that, I'm very, very. A lot of it is a bit of a mystery for me because there's a few American things on there.
Yes, go through the lineup. Smash are putting forward a 4-way, and it's quite interesting because all these guys are part of a group there called the Pillars. So Brent Banks, who's done a few dates over in England, Pro Wrestling Clash, I think he's done Progress. I think he did Defiant as well a while back.
I may have even seen Brent Banks actually.
You might well have done.
Now you say it.
Against Tariq.
Tarek I've seen, he's very good.
Tyson Du, I've already mentioned, and Sebastian Suave. To me, it's interesting they're putting 4 guys from the same faction together, so clearly this is more a exhibition than anything that could even vaguely play in storylines, and apologies for any viewers of Smash if they're doing a storyline where they're teasing splitting up these 4, my bad, but yeah, it seems interesting that it's the lead faction who are in this one match, but yeah, it should be interesting to see. CZW, and I'm just going to check to see if how far behind they are, because I know CZW now are actually releasing stuff up to date on WXW now. As it stands, we have a CZW champion, Joe Gacy, against Retrosexual AG, Anthony Green. To me, I've seen a lot of Anthony Green through Beyond. It's a good character. The character's really good. How it's going to play in with German like the 80s. I don't want to say kitsched up, but I'd almost say kind of like the Schwinger Club, just about the sex. That kind of vibe. But that be an interesting one. It might also show how many people even follow CZW these days, and I suspect the number there is low.
CZW is one of these things that always surprises me. No matter how little it registers on any radar, there's always somebody who follows it.
Yeah, that'd be me.
So.
The problem is, I think CZW moved venues a while back, and it's them and there's another group of promotions who are out of Kentucky where they set the same number of seats out for every single show, and it's the absolute worst thing you can do because it just tells how few fans you have. Like the CZW show that dropped on Wexley now, I don't think it's one from today, but of the pay-per-view they had last month, one fairly recently, the crowd that they had was shockingly low. So yeah, I mean, it's limping along, I guess you'd say. Bear in mind how Game Changers completely eclipsed them, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see, how many fans of CZW in the past, still, have a place in the heart for them.
I mean, it could, this is completely from outside because my knowledge of CCW is absolutely naught, but there was a point where it was probably top. It was a top 5 US indie, I think, at one point, wasn't it? And I wouldn't even say it would register in that now, would it? Really?
I mean,
it wouldn't register in the 10, I don't think.
No. And again,
there's literally next to no buzz for it. It's not something I ever hear outside of the occasional. Oh, the Tournament of Death was last weekend.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, Joe Gacy, Anthony Green, probably two of the best workers they can put forward. So it'd be interesting to see what they do turn out. White Wolf Wrestling out of Spain, Caden against Rizzo. I'll hold my hand up. I know nothing about either of these guys, so again, starting off a blank canvas.
Me neither, but I trust White Wolf's judgment because they're a company who know what's right. kind of. I don't know anything about them, like yourself, but I trust White Wolf to have picked people who are suitable for this show. I'm surprised. I'm surprised it's not. They've not brought Zayas and Golden Boy in as possibly done a tag team match because Golden Boy Santos and Zayas are now the tag team champions there. Would have been an interesting choice, but I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it's maybe a case of keeping their universes separate, to borrow a very WWE term, but yeah, we've talked about the Body Slam and Wrestling Cult matches and touched on Rising Sun, Luke DePazzi and Nicolo Inverardi, who I swear I have seen...
he must have worked Hope. A lot of them worked Hope for a while.
So I know last year they did a tour in America, and it may have been on a CZW show I saw them on, with one of the independent groups.
Okay.
Nico Inverardi is better known as Nick Lenders, who was WrestleGate Pro. I saw.
I've seen Nick Lenders, yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen it. Yeah, I didn't know that was who it was.
Well, if it's an alternate gimmick, sorry, Cage Match, that's what blew the cover. But looking now, Nick Lenders did ICW in Italy, Rising Sun, was the past year. He did WrestleGate. I think she's on their very first show or one of their early shows. But yeah, again, Rising Sun know what they're doing. They're not going to put two randomers on. So be interested to see what comes out there and that can in turn generate anything else. There's a bit of an elephant room, I guess you'd say, kind of touched on the whole ongoing coronavirus stuff. I don't know if
they are in the north as well.
Yeah, so that could be. I mean, obviously at time of recording, we've said nothing. We don't want to speculate, but that could well be something that plays up.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope not, but it's possible.
Yeah, I'm just looking now, at least on Nico's Cage Match, birthplace Lombardy, which is one of the affected regions. So yeah. we'll see come Saturday. But one last match that I deliberately left till last. British Empire Wrestling are putting on a women's match, Kat Von Cage against Lex Zavallo, and yeah, it's one of those where she's done a lot for BEW. Looking at Cage Match now, she's done a lot for PWS in Holland, a lot for IPW in Germany, not for one that's changed hands a lot of times.
It's not as good as that one.
Well, yeah, I saw that show, and yeah, it was the reason why I just tuned it out. But yeah, Pouchy's, again, Cage Match could be way behind, but she's going into this as BEW Shooting Star Champion, whatever the hell that is. So I think Kat Von Cage either is a... Yeah, so this is a champion v champion non-title match because Kat Von Cage is their women's champion. So, yeah, so I guess that makes sense why we put those two forward anyway.
Again, it's another promotion which has no buzz whatsoever, so I don't know very much about it.
Yeah.
The
Again,
only thing I know about BEW is that, well, there's a few things, but basically as soon as Eve returned in 2008, they kind of disappeared, really.
yeah.
BEW was kind of big for a while, and then Eve returned, and then, yeah. So
In the last year I was on holiday in Malta, and we didn't go in Vienna, but they had a show in Malta on the same day.
well, BEW.
Yeah, with Pro Wrestling Malta. I think it's maybe about half an hour away from where we're staying. So we went on holiday to get away from wrestling, so yeah, that was never going to be a thing. But they have a lot of their shows on high spots, and again, this isn't a point and laugh at them. But again, the problem with promotions putting all their stuff on, and it's the stick a camera up, point to the ring, and record it kind of deal. If you have low crowds and you just have fixed cameras, it's very easy to show. It's very hard to hide low turnouts, and like say BEW. They bring a lot of weird and random names, and I mean, I'm looking at their cage match. You're looking like Lady Frost out of America, Baby Allison, around these parts.
Yeah, it's not to say that they're a bad promotion. They're just a promotion that is never spoken about.
I mean, I didn't realise the Soldiers of Fortune, ex-Cult Tag Team Champions, I want to say, Andrei Ivanov, Sean Lukes, they until last November were their tag champions. So
maybe I should be going to more of them shows.
The problem is they're almost always in schools. I don't see much advertising for them.
Yeah.
And again, it's the whole thing of, like say, when Eve came back, a lot of their big names didn't work. They didn't stop working for them, but when Eve came back, your Tony Storms, your Nixon Newells, they moved their focus elsewhere. And that's not to say that BEW is not worth watching, but everyone's got to start somewhere. But if you're looking at if you're a snob, I guess, of the indies, it's probably not the kind of show you'd go to.
Well, it's just like I say, it's one of these promotions which when a lot of people, most people would say, yeah, they know of Eve or they've been to Eve, and BEW, it's, unless you're really deeply digging into it or you've seen a poster for it or something, it's not really one you'd know. But I'm quite excited to be surprised with all of these matches. I'm happy to be surprised.
Yeah, so that's the WXW Now showcase. Of course, later in the evening, got 16 Carat Gold Night 2, just for one match announced so far, which is title versus career. Bobby Guns against David Starr. I think I know which way you're going to answer this, Mike, but do you see a title change, or do you see WXW losing a star?
I think, and I'm going to stay as impartial as I possibly can, I think Starr losing is more likely than I think you think it is. I think if you look at the way he left Progress in a bit of a weird position, I think it's likely he could lose. Guns is a star in the ascendancy, I think, still. This whole storyline seems to have the whole thing with the storyline. It doesn't seem to have kind of come out about naturally. It's kind of felt a little bit shoehorned in. And I don't know. I've got a good feeling he's leaving.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I mean, obviously, Carat last year, not Carat, but after Carat last year, Starr walked out in WXW. The New York WrestleMania show, he cut that promo that was cut out
heavily. Yeah.
And then he came back because of Walter and Ilya. Then that kind of petered out, much like Ringkampf did. What I would say is, if Tim Thatcher hadn't, this can be weird, but if Tim Thatcher hadn't had the brief title when he had back end last year, and Bobby Guns had been the long reigning, the champion who everyone cheered when he won, but then slightly got cocky and carried away with himself, this may have a bit more steam in. But at the same point, I also would have wanted to see Tim Thatcher with the belt at some point.
I think if Thatcher hadn't have won at Tagfest, I think I would be definitely saying, "Oh yeah, David Starr's winning this for sure." But I just, for me, I just don't think there's enough. I'll say it this way: this is the least enthused I've been about a Saturday night main event for a WXW weekender in a long time.
Do you think David Starr leaving and coming back last year, and I know he said it's not going to be repeated, it's not going to be like that, do you think him leaving and coming back has taken some machine off this?
Yeah, because he's kind of taken his toys and gone home already. Storyline purposes, again, he's taken his toys and gone home already. And I don't think WXW missed him really when he was away.
I see where you're coming from, yeah, because at the time when he left, there's that the big match he wanted to Walter wasn't going to give him any more shots. So yeah, I do kind of see what you mean. There was nowhere left to go apart from the big one.
They booked themselves into a corner, and obviously there's contractual problems in the same way, but they booked themselves into a corner with the whole never beating Walter, and then Walter being the undefeatable wall effectively for him.
Yeah.
And
Wall,
then now he's a contractually enforced wall that he can't get past.
Yeah.
So then because obviously if this has been David Starr versus Walter and then this was 2019 for the title, then fair play. I think you could have had an argument for it actually happening for the tag team. For the title changing in there. But I don't see it happening. There's a lot more. I think there's a lot more length. There's a lot more bite in a Guns and Avalanche feud, possibly potentially. There's a lot more legs in that. For me, if I was in charge of WXW, I'd be staying away from politically toxic / contracted workers as much as possible. So keeping people like Bobby Guns, Jörn Simmons, Avalanche, that sort of name, high-level independent people like Speedball in the title picture rather than politically toxic people and contracted workers. I think it just makes more sense from that sort of standpoint.
Yeah, so we come from. I mean, we've seen a lot of indies, OTT quite notably. Moustache Mountain got their tag titles in, was it July last year? And I don't say they've tried taking the belts off them, but every time they've been booked to be in a title match, plans change. So yeah, I think as a James, he just a whole stop booking contracted wrestlers, which again I get. But yeah, I think WXW have been very smart in how they've played it so far. Like
their roster they've built, their roster they've built is getting there. It's getting there, and I think we kind of said something after the one in January, Back to the Roots. Gary said it, and he said like they're a company that is definitely in the rebuilding process. And for me, and I think you'll get, as fans, I think you're going to be rewarded by sticking through the rebuilding process.
Yeah.
Now, for me, as much as immense talent that David Starr is, he's immensely talented. I don't think it's in the best interests of WXW to put a hot independent wrestler who's not really, as much as he's been in WXW since the beginning, he's not a WXW guy. He's someone you can get anywhere else. And Rev Pro, for example, in the past 6 months, have proven that by having guys that pretty much only work in Rev Pro, they've built a division which is now, they've built a roster which is now one of the most exciting and interesting rosters in Europe. WXW has the opportunity to do exactly the same thing with their rosters, and they don't need to have as many imports and big international independent names than if they just stick with their domestic guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've said in the past, Levaniel, who was at last summer, he was kind of like a joke, whereas now, he doesn't, his matches I wouldn't say are the greatest, but you've got a character. His promos are absolutely amazing considering how inexperienced he is.
And that's
9/10 for battle. You can talk, and if you've got a great character, your in-ring doesn't need to be fantastic.
And the other thing is, Levaniel is a wrestler who speaks primarily German,
and his English is better than mine.
and he comes across very, very well. He comes across very, very well in promos speaking German, so which I think has been a problem for a lot of them, and I think it's why someone like Bobby does stand out. Yeah.
So at this point, we'd probably plug a bit more of night 2, but the only other bit of news we got is what came out just before we hit record tonight. Alex Shelley was meant to have been a special attraction for the Saturday of Carat. He's announced that he's had to pull out. The whole world situation with COVID-19, the coronavirus. Alex's day job, this free statement to be put out. He works with immunocompromised patients in the clinic in his real job, so he can't risk exposing himself to a possible infection by travelling to Germany and wrestling. He's put a statement out. I don't say it's long-winded, but basically it's along the lines of, even if he doesn't get sick, he doesn't want to be a carrier, which, I think, we've seen Jonathan Gresham, he pulled out sort of APC in France this weekend. Jordan Grace made similar overtures as well. It's not the first. I don't think it's going to be the last. Maybe not for this tournament, but just in general. But it's a shame. But at the same point, WXW hadn't announced anything for Alex, so whoever he was going to have gotten now need a plan B.
Yeah, and it is disappointing, but you can't say fairer than that, really. It's not as if I'm not coming because I'm not being paid enough. It's completely reasonable and you can't complain about that at all, really, can you?
So that's Saturday night. Of course, got the after party, and of course, we haven't said night 2 of Carat. It's all of the quarter-final matches, blind brackets. So it's not like we can say the winner of Yearn Lucky Kid takes on the winner of Maccabee and Eddie Kingston. We won't know until you actually see them come through the curtain. 2 events on Sunday. The Wheel of Wrestling feature event, that's Sunday lunchtime. So if you've not got a thick head after the after party, that's on, I think it's 11:30 doors, I believe. Sorry, 12 noon doors, 12:30 start. One thing announced this is Walter's going to be on the card. And this is, I guess, past few years it's been Shotgun XXL. I think last year's the Road to New York City. They've just called this Wheel of Wrestling feature event. So I think this is dropping to the end of March on WXW now. So no cards announced. You're probably not going to get one announced. It's just going to be a mixture of guys up and down the card.
Yeah, it's a taping which takes place after Carat Night 3. So it's always a bit of a weird thing.
Yeah, I think
so usually you get lots of random matches and you go, oh, that was kind of interesting. And you know nothing because there's no context for them.
And last year it was the Marius Alani show, so hopefully we get a bit less of him. Nothing against him, but I think hearing that old music 3 times in one night was just getting a bit uprising in Eve level, shall we say. But that's Sunday lunchtime. Then, of course, Sunday evening is the big one. 16 Carat Gold Night 3, so you've got the semi-finals and the finals. There'll be some other stuff as well, but 2 matches announced so far. Cerberus explodes yet again. Ilya Dragunov challenging Avalanche for the Shotgun Championship. It's notable, by the way, this night, day 3, so Wheel of Wrestling and Night 3 characters after the NXT UK taping, so as you'll see, NXT UK guys are back in play here if they want to use them.
And that was the same place. That was the same case with Tagfest. On night 3 of Tagfest, you had people like Killer Kelly come in, Ollie Carter come in. Ilya was there as well. So there's a lot. Everyone's kind of back in play for this. Speaking of the Shotgun title match, I think Avalanche and Dragunov have sensational chemistry together. They've always worked really, really well. And it's exciting to actually be able to see one of these matches again between each other. Because I think this was a first round match in Carat 17. I think it was a match here in Carat 17.
Looking through now. Yep, first round.
Yeah,
Carat 2017. Ilya beat Avalanche in 8 minutes.
Yeah.
And then they've done a lot in the fallout of Cerberus. Julian Nero referee once. They've had freeweight superstars. So a lot of history.
So if we get Dirty Dragon or Julian Nero make an appearance in this match, I'd be well happy. But
where's the Adam Polak?
Oh yeah, well Adam Polak as well, but it's that these two people with excellent chemistry, and I'm really excited to see this one.
Do you see this title change, or do you think Avalanche is going to be holding on to the title he's just won back?
Um,
Because again, it opens up the question of, do you put your belts on a contracted guy, not knowing?
yeah. Um, it wouldn't. I mean, they put the tag team belts on Ilya last year, and I thought, is that a little bit below him? But it. I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world to put the belt on Ilya. It would bring a bit of gravitar back to the belt. Not that it was really ever lost it, but I think post Bobby Guns, it kind of lost a bit of its way.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And the other match is going to be a bit emotional. Timothy Thatcher's farewell to the Indies. He teams with Yuki Ishikawa, taking on Walter and Daisuke Ikeda. This is going to be, well, how long a match is. It's just going to be one big sing-along of there's only one Tim Thatcher, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's going to be an interesting. I'm not sure what the mood's going to be for this one. I kind of think back to, like, for example, the Matt Riddle farewell to the Indies at Wembley, and that was a bit of an odd sort of atmosphere for that one.
I think with Tim, I mean, I was at the 19th anniversary show when he lost the belt, and it literally was lost the belt. He was out as soon as he could. And I know Tassilo Young mentioned, when he got signed, that they could easily have done the big ticker tape thank you for everything Tim thing, but he didn't want. So, in a sense, it's not strange, but I'd almost dare say that if they didn't want to do that for him at the anniversary show, and no, don't be self-important, so and so, but is this for us, for fans, to do a thank you, Tim?
Yeah, possibly.
I mean, and again, this is kind of worms I kind of touched on a few weeks back when the signing was announced. It's a dead horse that's been beaten around on the internet about all these signings. Tim Thatcher's one of those I would put in that bracket of, he's signed, he deserved to be signed. He's been around everywhere. Japan was meant to be a destination he wanted, but didn't materialise.
There was never any interest, yeah.
And really, if there's enough on the table from WWE, well, what else he's going to do? Stay in MLW and do taping a month?
Yeah, there is that, and he's at least going to NXT proper.
And at least there's a lot. He's done a lot more, and he's got a bigger CV of work behind than. Name your next 21-year-old who signed an NXT UK deal.
It's a dead horse. I don't really like getting into it more than everybody else and who's ever owned a Twitter account has ever got into it. It's very easy to. There's disappointment not seeing him anymore because I won't ever see him wrestle again. It's fairly likely I won't ever see him wrestle again. So it's gonna be sad in that respect. But
yeah,
fair play to him. He does deserve it.
So, I guess that's pretty much it on a sour note then for Carat. So, saying Jörn Simmons both our favourites to win 16 Carat Gold this year?
Yeah, I think, he is for me, yeah, definitely.
And I guess, while we're going about, obviously, 16 Carat Gold, they do the match to kind of set the table for the rest of the year, and I know WXW's schedule this year, from what they've announced at least, is a bit on the weird side. I know... just pulling up the next events now. So after Carat this weekend, True Colours in Dresden in April, Broken Rules and another feature event. We're doing two back-to-back shows in Oberhausen in June.
Yeah.
That, again, to me, the fact they've moved Broken Rules from November up to June, I don't know if anything's up, but it's a bit weird.
It is, but then also the other thing is, last year we had Drive of Champions, which was a new feature event. There's a lot of fluidity in the calendar. A lot of the time, the calendar doesn't really get announced until after Carat. So, yeah. For example, Shortcut to the Top wasn't announced until Easter, at least, for sure. Because I waited until it was announced before I booked it. And obviously, we've got the change in the Catch Grand Prix, which for me, I'm absolutely frothing at the mouth in excitement for, because I'm pretty sure it's just going to be a G1 sort of thing. So
so may as well touch upon that. That's 5 nights in Oberhausen, which I'm pretty sure that McDonald's outside the Turbine Holler just rubbing their hands in glee at that. But
I don't think so, because what excites me about it is it's going to be 5 nights in Oberhausen. Well, there's a little bit of disappointment because I would have loved it if it had started in Hamburg and with
keep the
maybe
tradition up, yeah.
I would have liked Wednesday in Hamburg, Thursday in Bremen, because Bremen is Germany's home of wrestling, to be quite honest. It's where the old CWA catch shows would have been. I thought that that would have been a good, nice nod to the history. Maybe a nice crowning evening for Bobby Guns, have a good match in Bremen, but that's beside the point. Likewise with Hamburg, have a bit of Hamburg catch, but 5 nights in Oberhausen. They're going to be evening shows the first 3 nights anyway, so they're going to be 8 p.m. starts. So we're going to have full days. We're going to have nice dinners for a few days. It's going to be nice to run around. We might see a bit of culture going. It's going to be like going on holiday a little bit, but it's going to be good fun. I'm really looking forward to the Catch Grand Prix. We're still waiting to see what the actual thing is, but from what I understand from people who I've spoken to, it's going to be a round robin sort of thing.
And I know, obviously, to complain that it's 5 shows in 5 nights. Why couldn't you've done Friday night, Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, Sunday? Condensed all. It's like you can't do that for a round robin tournament.
No.
It's bad enough. Like my pet hate's a bit weird considering we're talking about Carat and you've got semis and finals on the Sunday show. But my pet hate is when you have one night tournaments because you almost kind of, dare I say, being cock teased with the first round of the semis because they could be good matches, but they've got to be done in 10-15 minutes because they've got to work 2-3 times in one night. Whereas at least here, okay, you're working 5 nights in a row, but at least it's one match a night when you've got 24 hours to recover, that kind of thing.
When they announced the 5-day tournament and also the other thing is in September rather than October because it's going to fall. Otherwise, it would have fallen onto German Unity Day, and everything would have been shut.
Again,
the other thing about it is there was 2 reactions. There was oh god 5 days straight in Oberhausen, and there was 5 days straight. It's one of these tournaments, I think, if it appeals to you, you'll do all of it. But I don't think, people who are going, I might only just do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You're not going to be missing out. It's still going to be good, but it's definitely one of the things, if it appeals to you, you're going to do it all.
I think that for a lot of people, it's going to depend on who's in the lineup. Well, yeah, holiday as well. I mean, I know, speaking from my perspective, I should be fine, going, like, I've got enough leave. Jen, for instance, who does the photos for us, the Carat, that's burning up 5 days. This would burn up another 5 days. That's half a holiday gone. Because their work, makes the book Christmas off at the dates they pick. So it's a big ask, and especially for, I'll say the locals, that's probably a bit disingenuous, but those, the people who don't have to travel from as far afield, it's almost even trickier than it is for, us travelling lots. You just have to hop on a plane and live in a hotel for a week.
Yeah, I mean, and there will be people who do all of it. I dare say there'll be people but the fact that they are in the evening does definitely make it a lot easier because I don't feel like I'm going to get burnout.
No.
Again, which sometimes I think does become a case.
Again, you talk about 8 p.m. start, maybe 10:30 finish, and then you've got early nights. I mean, the only after party they've booked is the Saturday night, the traditional one. From the schedule they've got so far, you're only looking at Saturday afternoon femme fatale, and then a Sunday afternoon show. So you're not talking about the intense. We've just talked about of Carat here. Of course, there's a lot of water going for the bridge between now and September, but as it stands, to me, there'll be a lot of people who'll be very undecided until names start being announced of this.
Yeah, I think for example, if and I know he's having his farewell this weekend, but for example, I think if Tim Thatcher was announced for the Catch Grand Prix all 5 nights, then I think that might people might go, oh, do you know what? I kind of fancied that, or I think that definitely is going to go down to the names, but for me, WXW as a brand is strong enough to drag me in regardless of who they book, to be honest.
I think considering some other favourite promotions, the horrible year they've just come out of, and where WXW lay in somewhat similar situations, just without the mass pull-out of talent, I think that says a lot. That you've got WXW, they've lost big names in Walter, in Ilya, in terms of being full-time roster members, and yet here we are. They've announced 5 days in Oberhausen in September, and it's not automatically we have to wait and see who's coming along. The fact there's faith in them to deliver, because we were both there in October, Mike, for World Tag Team Festival. That, I don't want to say cursed, because who knows what could be coming up, but the amount of changes that weekend went through, and Friday's show was a bit iffy, but they still...
It was perfectly solid. It was perfectly solid.
They knocked it out of the park at the end of the weekend. I mean, the fact that Tim Thatcher won the belt on the Saturday, helped massively, but the fact that, we were coming in thinking, oh God, all these teams pulling out, oh God, who's next? Another change they had to make, and the fact that they still got something, not only great shows, but something coherent in terms of storyline as well.
Yeah.
It's that goodwill that a lot of other promotions simply don't have.
It was, there's a lot of goodwill, and maybe some of it is nostalgia of, the good old days of 2017 to 2018. Maybe there is an element of goodwill that kind of lingers over, but the WXW, and I don't think it would be unfair to say WXW fell off a cliff in late 2017, late 2018, and it took a lot to get back to, I think, early last year, towards basically the summer of last year. I think they was still kind of treading water a little bit, which is predictable when you have such height, because I think for a brief period they were the best promotion in the world in terms of storytelling. I don't think that's an unreasonable... If they weren't the best promotion in the world, they were in the top 3.
Yeah.
And it's completely reasonable that you can't keep that standard up forever. But they bounced back. Tag League was we went in expecting disaster, and we come out going, that was all right. There was exciting, interesting things going on. Obviously, we're kind of walking into another one, which is, there's always a bit of there's uncertainty of a different type this time. We're now more wizened and more bitter about, as a consumers, we're more wizened and bitter about things like contracts. I think even up to last year, this time last year, we wasn't really as ingrained. I think people were more trenched into the whole NXT UK thing. There's still an element of fear and frustration with the politics, but at the same time, this is a very WWE light tournament, barring Lio Rush, who, in fairness, is a main roster guy, who I don't think anybody who is allegedly on his way out anyway, from what is said. I think there's a lot to be excited about this weekend.
Absolutely, and again, for those who maybe can't travel, this will all be on WXW Now, WXWNow.com. And this year, I think Katja and the crew, they have, I would say, taken it easy, but they've actually gone for a lot more manageable schedule. So instead of everything dropping in the space of 5 days, which, I had no idea how they kept that up, and I know most years have had issues, but what we're going for, Inner Circle will be dropping Monday the 9th, then 2 days later, Night on the Carat, 2 days later, so that'd be Friday the 13th, Night 2 of Carat, the Sunday 15th, Night 3, Tuesday the 17th will be the Ambition Show, Thursday the 19th is the Wheel of Wrestling feature event, and last but not least, on the 21st is the WXW Now Showcase. Those will be dropping. It's usually about 7 p.m. UK time, if it's the usual schedule. So, you won't be waiting a couple of days for Inner Circle, and then a bit staggered from there. But the production quality alone for WXW Now knocks out 90-95% of other indies. I mean, at least you can actually see, and those new cameras as well. Absolute improvement. The fact that you can actually see the wrestling and not the floor, speaks for itself.
Well, it's broadcast quality. It's broadcast quality. It could quite easily go on television, no problem.
So that'll just about do it. Anything you want to plug before we wrap up, Mike?
I'm at Mike Kilby on Twitter. It's probably where you'd know me from, but also Eurograps.com is home of all the very best in European professional wrestling. We do the odd review of a lot of Irish stuff, German stuff, kind of random shows which I end up finding on YouTube. It's a good, fun website. It's one that you can try to dip in, and occasionally you'll find something interesting and new on there. That's my site, Eurograps.com, www.eurograps.com, and at Eurograps on Twitter.
Thanks so much, Mike. Of course, you can find us BackBodyDrop.com, Instagram at BackBodyDrop. We'll probably have stories and photos unless our laptop blows up over the weekend. Hey, it could always
There's
happen.
no carrot curse yet, so...
Well, I'm finding anything that's wooden and smacking. But anyway, thanks so much for joining us here, Mike, and all the best, and we'll see you over in Essen for Inner Circle on Thursday.
Yes, see you Thursday.
And for everybody else, hope to see you there. If not, catch you down the line.